Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
Hello there, and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Today we'll continue on Let's Play. This is episode 12. In today's episode, we are taking a look at the Los Santos Courier, a side mission which you could easily miss if you are playing through this game casually, but of course it is required for 100%. To activate it, you need to come to the Roboys Food Mart here in Commerce, which if you follow the route I did just going past the police station, if you take a left directly from the police station and then go right all the way down this road, you'll eventually see it is sort of a shop which is a fair bit away from the road, so it is quite easily missed, and I often get confused as to where this shop is if I'm playing through this game normally, but yeah, you will eventually find it. To activate the mission, you simply hop on the BMX bike outside there and away you go. Essentially, the Courier side mission is very similar to the Paperboy side mission from Vice City, where you had to go around on a moped delivering pizzas. On this, you have to go around on a bike delivering packages through the Coronas. It is easier than Paperboy. Unlike Paperboy, which I believe had 10 levels in total, each Courier, because there is 3 Courier missions, each for Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas, you essentially only have to do 4 levels. So, I mean, it's technically 12 if you're doing all of them back to back, but it's only 4 levels, and essentially each level adds a new drop-off point, and they do get a bit further away as the levels go on. Of course, it has to ramp up the challenge a little bit. You can carry 6 packages at a time, and of course by level 4 that means that there is 6 Coronas to deliver through, so you need to deliver 6 items pinpoint accurately, I guess, for lack of a better term. Although I think you can pick up the packages, I can't remember if I did need to do that in this run. I think I only really missed one because, granted, the speedrun tactic is to sort of keep moving. I'm not very good at getting that accurately, so I just essentially stopped, make sure I got it through there, just to be 100% sure, because it is a bit of a... You do get more packages, you can return to the shop to get more items, but it's not really time efficient to do that, unless you're en route to it. But of course, unlike in Paperboy and Vice City, you don't actually have to return to the shop until the end, so it's not something I particularly did. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Essentially, you're the Paperboy. It is interesting to note that out of all of the Courier side missions, it's widely regarded that the Los Santos Courier is actually the hardest, because in San Fierro and Las Venturas you actually do get motorized transport. You get a bike for that, you get a freeway for San Fierro, and you get a Fagio for Las Venturas, while as here obviously you're on the BMX bike. It is helpful early game to do this, as it does boost your BMX skill, and that is useful for certain activities in the game, some of which we'll get onto later. Also, another thing useful about the side activity, if you fall off the bike you get 20 seconds to get back on it, so that's good. And also, actually, one advantage, I guess, to the Los Santos Courier, the BMX bike, by the game's definition, is actually indestructible. It can't be destroyed, while as the freeway and Fagio, I guess you can destroy them if you have enough collisions. Obviously, those are a little bit easier to handle, so it balances itself out. Personally, I much prefer the ones where you're on a motorbike, but, you know, this is the way it is, so we have to go ahead and go through all of this. Upon completion, you ended up getting a asset, which should actually, if you're following this game exactly as I am, be your first asset in the entire game, so that's pretty interesting. Anyways, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to speed up the footage a little bit, just because this is quite a long side mission and there's not really all that much to it. So now that we are on speed up, this one is probably the longest of all the Courier missions, I'd imagine, just because you aren't on motorized transport and you do have to travel around a fair bit of LS. Because you have to do that, I do sort of recommend getting a basic knowledge of the city first. It might be wise to do Taxi Driver before you do the Courier. Admittedly, I've got to be honest, I don't find the time limit for this that strict. However, I do, again, I know certain people struggle with this, especially if you don't know your way around the city. You could end up in a very hilly area. If you end up in a hill area, then yeah, you might struggle to get up where you need to be. Also, I'll probably put an annotation on the screen. My idea that there was going to be 6 packages per level, so you needed to not miss, apparently is complete bollocks, because they give you an extra 2 on the final 2 levels, so that's interesting to note. I didn't realise that. You do get extra money for keeping more packages, so I guess that makes sense. So as you can see, the bike's not really held up on sand, which is quite useful. But like I said, hills in East Los Santos and stuff, you may have to worry about a little bit. That being said, I had a bit of creative tracking going on there. It's quite mesmerising to see CJ pedal this fast. Yeah, it's an alright side mission, don't get me wrong. A little bit time consuming, a little bit boring because you can't really listen to the radio or anything while you are on this BMX bike. But of course, this is, well, I'm recording this in 2020, you may be watching this whenever you're watching it, but the point still stands. I mean, this is the modern era. You can stick a YouTube video up or a podcast or something now. This isn't 2004 where you just have to do nothing other than, I don't know, have a second television and watch Bruce's Price is Right or whatever was on in 2004. No idea. Anyways, yeah, no, not massively difficult. Just make sure you know your way around the city. As you can see, I've got 5 minutes remaining here, and I've only got 2 more checkpoints to deliver it to. So, yeah, a decent cycle skill is probably needed during this as well. I do recommend in the early game, try to cycle as much as you can. Admittedly, we've already done a little bit of that, not just because it improves your cycling skill, but also, of course, we showed off with the gym moves. It does help to keep in shape during this game, especially keeping your muscle up as well, because if you get hungry during the game, which happens every 48 hours, the in-game stats will start eating through muscle as opposed to eating through your health, which is useful. Anyways, as you can see now, we are coming to the end of our delivery cycle. 2 packages remaining, pretty straightforward. Get 6 grand, actually make a fair chunk of change from doing this in the early game, and as you can see now, we get the assets acquired, which means that this shop will make us 2 grand every week. So if you're ever in this area, if you get busted and you need to make a little bit more of your money back, then there you go. Not a super useful asset, it has to be said, but it's nice to have. And of course, you can go ahead and get on the BMX once again if you wish to do it. I believe if you do it a second time, there's actually infinite levels, so you can just keep doing this over and over again, but it's not a particularly effective way of making money. Anyways, that is it for this episode of the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Let's Play. Do hope you've enjoyed. Next time, we're going to be taking a look at another side mission where we have to traverse the city in Taxi Driver. So join us for that. Until then, farewell.
Uptown, downtown, speeding all around. The naked 47 got the power and it's bound to move any mother that gets in my way. Just another power machine on the freeway. Riding with me, there's my MC homeboy. Knowing the rules ain't part of his program. Finding the right way around this map might be pretty hard cause he's fucked on crack. Gee, Grand Theft